Hey.
Oh,
Alright, let's do it again.
no, we're good. We're good. Hello. I'm Batman.
How's it going? I'm Scott. And I'm back after a long Shark Week vacation. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I heard there was a shark here last week.
Yeah.
But I'm filling in for J-Mac this week. The bad voice will come and go, I promise.
There you go.
This is a No Breaks Patreon supported video from our good friend Madison, and this is a deep dive into Dreamcatcher, and this is from a channel called Mira, which we've checked out before.
Yep.
OG link will be in the description down below.
Yep.
And it's titled "Dodging Disbandment and Other Extreme Sports: A History of Dreamcatcher." Wow.
Hey, and we did a deep dive with Mira already. I want to first say Mira goes in extreme depth about every member of the group.
So I know this is gonna be good.
You know, like for anybody who does like these deep dives, they're actually a lot of fun to get to know more about each individual member. And Mira does such a great job of like actually putting this information out there and making it like informative and fun.
Yes, very much so, and so much so that we brought back the Dreamscape. Man, I really hope the green screen works in post. It's been a while. Let's get into this.
This is gonna be. Oh no, because you're good. You good.
It might change colors, but
I'm so here like.
let's get into this. Dodging Disabandonment and Other Extreme Sports: A History of Dreamcatcher from Madison.
Thank you, Madison. We love you, but I love you the most.
You're such a kiss ass.
That's been my thing lately, but hey,
Batman's not a kiss ass.
Batman's ultimate kiss ass.
Shut up.
A quick disclaimer before we get into it, I do not have all the facts. And obviously, not every single detail is here. Every statistic used is readily available information for anyone who wants to find it. And as always, this video is not intended to point fingers at certain groups or artists, nor start any fan wars. Each and every one of the artists mentioned here is simply a part of understanding the story of Dreamcatcher. If you love Dreamcatcher more than anything, or you couldn't care less about them, wonderful, that's all cool. I just ask that you leave your opinions about the members, your opinions about the fandom, and your opinions about any other artists mentioned here out of your consideration for the video.
Agreed. Fully. Full send.
I'm also gonna flip up for the reading of text.
Just a little sweaty in there, yeah?
Dreamcatcher has something of a wild story. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they may or may not be caught up in some cosmic duel between two ancient gods. Ooh. One who wants them to succeed, and one who wants to destroy them at all costs. Dreamcatcher is a girl group under Happy Face Entertainment, and they've been around since 2014. Kind of. The group has released 6 mini-albums of reasonable success. Kind of. And they achieved their first win in September of 2019. Kind of. There's a lot to unpack about the history of Dreamcatcher, especially since they weren't even always Dreamcatcher. Over the years, the group has attracted a rather convoluted legacy, and when you look at it all laid out, there's something about Dreamcatcher that seems to be constantly dodging out of the way of danger. While there have been some touch-and-go moments regarding failure or even disbandment, Dreamcatcher seems to be doing some serious gymnastics to keep themselves in the game. Let's go back in time. August 9th, 2014. It all started in the summer of 2014 at the Oak Valley Summertime Festival. It's nighttime and the stage is dark. Overhead, the intercom announces the next performance. Lights up. 5 girls in what can only be described as pure 2014 fashion take the stage under the name Minx. They perform 3 songs, all singing and dancing and smiling at the audience. They laugh, they wave, they joke around with the audience, and everyone seems to be having a good time. And there they go, off into the evening. September 15th, 2014. About a month later, a company known as Happy Face Entertainment announced that that's their new girl group, and they're set to debut that fall. Happy Face has had a decent number of different names, but for the ease of the story, I'll be referring to them as Happy Face Entertainment or just Happy Face. A couple of things to know about them before we get into the goods. Happy Face is not the richest company, but they're very much average. They're not as rich as Woolham or Stone, but they have enough money to give their artists comebacks and promotion when the board meetings say the omens are right. Happy Face was founded by a production duo called E-Tribe. You may recognize them as the producers of a little song called G. Happy Face aren't tiny, they aren't massive. Now back to the story. September 18th, 2014. Minx debuted as a 5-member girl group with their song "Why Did You Come to My Home."
That's
The
just
song
catchy.
was pop influenced by
really
hip-hop,
catchy.
and the music video followed a pretty standard 2014 concept, complete with the shorts and sweaters combo and thigh-high socks. Oh,
It
and
is
the
very
random
at the
shots of
time.
girls in
Yeah.
packaging. Remember when that was a thing? The group promoted their debut for over a month, finishing off in late October. Right now, Minx looked like a proper mid-2010s girl group, a Baby Girls Day or Sistar. They debuted with some pretty intense competition, including but not limited to Very Good, La Boom, Mamamoo, Lovelies, and Red Velvet. The song didn't have a
Mamamoo
mini
and Red
album,
Velvet.
which may or may not have been the bestest idea ever, as the song didn't quite manage to chart during the quarter. But being a debut, there was room to grow, and maybe fortune would favor the bold. July 1st, 2015.
Yeah,
Or
we-
maybe not.
We coulda,
10
we coulda
months
had a
later,
whole-
Minx released their first mini album, Love Shake, in July of 2015. The song and music video were all about summer romance, and the whole thing resembled an appeal to the many, many cutesy, innocent concepts of summer girls looking for love. Now, we've talked about the 2015 scene before, but let's take another look at it. Oh My Girl debuted, Twice debuted, Red Velvet released their first full album, Girls' Generation released Lionheart. Both musically and visually, Love Shake didn't stick out from the pack. The whole thing was later described as a red ocean, meaning that there was absolutely no space for a concept like Minx's to stick out with everyone else in the industry. What Happy Face really wouldn't want right now is one of the most powerful groups in romance and dance genres to debut within 20 days of this comeback. So also we have G-Friend, one of the most powerful debuts of the year, occurring in the same month. Let's talk numbers. Eliminating the outliers, the average sale count for a girl group debut album in 2014 was around 3,780. In 2015, the average was roughly 5,060, with outliers eliminated. Minx's debut mini album, Love Shake, made under 2,000 sales. That's under average for both 2015 and 2014. Not the worst, but not the best. Now, for a lot of groups, this is unfortunately a symbol of doom. It's much harder to keep yourself afloat without some form of album unless you're a big three group. By splitting off their first song from their first album by nearly a year, it looked like Minx's debut project might have caved in on itself. But the team over at Happy Face Entertainment had kind of an unconventional idea. In November of 2016, Happy Face announced that the group was going to re-debut under a new name. Happy Face pulled Minx from the shelf and got to work. New production design, new imagery, new sound, an entirely new instrument team was brought in. Superbomb was brought in to produce new songs. 2 new members, Gahyun and Hundong, were added to the lineup. 2 months after the announcement was made,
That's the sound that
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with.
What a radical shift like that in only a few months, too.
Yeah. Dreamcatcher.
the artist formerly known as Minx debuted on January 13th, 2017. They weren't the mid-2010s cheerleaders of 2014 or the summer sweethearts of 2015. They were Dreamcatcher, a group drenched in horror and elegance with a rather Victorian spin on the supernatural. Main vocalist Xion described their new music as a style that takes inspiration from metal and rock, especially J-rock, and mixes some of their elements with a core of pop inspired by the mainstream. Happy Face
Hence the
themselves
anime
described the
opening
music
feels,
as pop
yeah.
rock and rock-flavored girl pop. They debuted with the song Chase Me, and people immediately noticed the creativity of the group's hard-hitting style and old world-inspired fashion. The group was establishing an anthology, where each girl represented a different nightmare. They weren't coming to you. As stated in their debut, you were coming to them. Dreamcatcher's debut single album, Nightmare, sold nearly twice as many copies as Love Shake, and Dreamcatcher debuted at number 20 on the Gaon album chart. Remember when we talked about fortune favoring the bold? This was bold. So bold that members of the groups themselves worried about the debut completely falling apart.
Oh no.
However, it seemed the new style was just what the group needed to break through the waves of the market and start getting their name out there. That's
It's a
taking
unique sound.
New to a whole different level. In April, Dreamcatcher came back with Good Night and their second single album, Fall Asleep in the Mirror. Once again, they were present with their metal and J-rock inspired sound and a creepy music video continuing the story of their last one, where they finally hopped on the good foot and killed that guy. Now all they really needed was a debut mini-album, preferably without the 10-month wait in between. At this point, it had already been around 4 months. Then 5, then 6, then... Whew, got it in just before 7. Dreamcatcher's first ever EP, titled Prequel, hit on July 27th with the 8-track Fly High. Prequel hit like a grenade, peaking at 4 in Korea and selling over 11,000 copies. Remember what 2017 was for the industry at the time? Coming back wasn't just about returning to M Countdown or Music Bank, no. It was about getting on the damn plane and getting yourself a ticket to the Western music market. Boom. The album hit top 5 on the Billboard World Albums and went number 1 on the US iTunes K-pop chart.
Holy shit.
iTunes was still a thing at this point, if you're wondering. All in all, it was a pretty successful comeback. No, the girls weren't doing G-Friend numbers or anywhere near the top 3, but the album performed well enough that in August, Happy Face announced that Dreamcatcher was getting a world tour. October 2017.
Nice.
Dreamcatcher had been noted almost exclusively as one unit since debut, likely to cement the theme of permanence and dedication to the new group project after the loss of Minx. It had been important during those first few years for them to appear as one solid team that wouldn't crack under the pressure of a demanding market. But now, with a slightly more stable grip on their group identity, they would need to flesh out their public images as individuals. Up until now, Dreamcatcher had largely stayed within their own bubble. In early October, Happy Face announced that Dreamcatcher and other Happy Face entertainment artists such as D1's and trainee group HNB would be joining the ranks of Mix 9, a survival show created and owned by YG Entertainment. The goal was to promote the group on widespread television, show off different sides of the group, and most importantly, give the public a taste of what Dreamcatcher members were like as individuals. Mix 9 was a sandbox for idols of various companies to show off not only their physical skills, visuals, and overall idol appeals, but also start promoting their own personalities. One of the key necessities to longevity in the industry is personal attachment. Much of the K-pop industry is designed to sell fans an idol, a person to get attached to. For a group like Dreamcatcher, advertising your own personalities is crucial to drawing in fans who might not know or otherwise care for your music. Fans are more likely to support a group they feel personally connected to and involved with, and this is extremely notable about girl groups in particular, which can sound pretty Machiavellian, but that's another can of worms. What it meant for Dreamcatcher was that the fans who enjoyed the group at large and the potential fans in the making could see the members' personalities and become more attached to them. It would give Dreamcatcher 7 more selling points. On top of that, a show like Mix 9 would, in theory, contribute to the message that Dreamcatcher were committed to impacting and succeeding in the market. By getting together idols from all over the industry to mingle with, compete against, and befriend each other, Mix 9 would, again, in theory, allow the members of Dreamcatcher to announce themselves as integrated players within the business, true competitors with skin in the game. Mix 9, like the produced series, was a unique space for seeing idols outside of their own groups and allowing fans to get to know Dreamcatcher through groups they already loved. It appealed to many fans to see their idols friends with other idols, and it was helpful for idols to hone their promotion skills with other professionals. The show began in late October, and 4 members of Dreamcatcher, Jiyu, Xian, Yuhyun, and Dami, were there to compete against 94 other female idols. Talent-wise, it actually went pretty well. The members were recognized for their skills and development, each one receiving a rank of B or higher. Out of the 98 female participants, Yuhyun ranked in the top 9 during the showcase section, and Jiyu ranked at number 4 in episode 4 and number 7 in episode 5. Things were just starting to heat up. There were some great performances and some rather awesome moments from both the members of Dreamcatcher and the other idols they were working with. Win or lose, joining Mix 9 would only serve to help Dreamcatcher, as long as everything went according to plan. Well, about 3/4 of the way into the show, Dreamcatcher's activities in Mix 9 came to a sudden halt. Practically out of nowhere, Dreamcatcher packed up their stuff and never returned. Happy Face released a statement saying they were officially pulling Dreamcatcher from the show, and instead, the 4 girls would rejoin the other members and participate in a tour through Brazil. It was a mixed bag, to say the least. While a tour would certainly bring in more money, there was a goldmine of potential publicity to be found in Mix 9. The members had accumulated decent rankings, and presumably the other industry benefits of joining Mix 9 would have strengthened as the competition continued. With just 6 episodes left, the decision seemed dicey. Until, well, I don't even need to tell you, do I?
Whoa. So we don't know that we don't know the history. Oh my gosh.
Oh my,
that's not good.
Insider trading. Insider trading.
Mix 9 flatlined and everything went kaput.
Wow.
Upon finishing its run in December and announcing the winning group for debut, YG Entertainment canceled the entire project. Money went down the drain, months of time spent was now wasted, and YG stock completely crashed. The companies and idols involved were screwed to high hell. For all intents and purposes, Dreamcatcher had basically sailed off the island just before the volcano exploded.
Talking about dodging a bullet.
Exactly. God.
Wow.
Damn. Hey, for real though, like, it looks like it was like in their favor to go.
That's great.
Now,
that
it's
bitch.
true there's no way Happy
That's
Face
funny.
could have foreseen this. In fact, the idol who ranked highest in the entire show was Woo Jin-young, and 3 guesses what company he came from. It can't be stated enough how damaging the failure of Mix 9 was to its participants. Happy Face themselves proceeded to file a lawsuit against YG Entertainment for 10 million won.
Oh, wow.
Later, Happy Face started to reveal a fuck ton of the underhanded actions done by YG during the course of the show, including but not limited to
Fuck ton's a good
YG
word.
unfairly extended
YG tripping.
contracts management period from 4 months to 3 years,
I know,
which
right?
is extremely dangerous to
tripping.
smaller companies. They coerced Happy Face and their artists into agreeing to the new terms under the threat of cancellation, refused to fulfill their side of the agreements by covering fees such as transportation, training, clothes, and so on, and refused to pay any of the money that was owed to Happy Face for use of songs, trainees, and other material. Happy Face described the entire process as the overuse of power by a large entertainment agency with strong influence. Happy Face said this of the lawsuit: "More than to be compensated for all the damages we have received, this is a symbolic amount filed in our hopes that Korean popular culture will progress healthily without the overuse of power by large companies." In early 2019, we would find out that Happy Face withdrew this lawsuit, and there is definitely some speculation about what went down behind closed doors. Regardless, it was a disaster. Now let's get back to Dreamcatcher. In all honesty, it seemed that Dreamcatcher had miraculously dodged a bullet and were promoting their music internationally with the Fly High World Tour. By the power of sheer dumb luck, Dreamcatcher were out promoting in the world, and by the end of the year, the world was starting to pay attention. Chase Me was included in Billboard's Best K-Pop Songs of 2017 at number 19, and the group was crowned number 3 for Billboard's Best New K-Pop Acts. Things were starting to look up, and with that, the year wrapped. Kicking off 2018, Dreamcatcher celebrated their first anniversary with a fan meet. All 400 tickets sold out within minutes. While Dreamcatcher may have not been the biggest group in the world, their work in the past year had started to bring in dedicated fans. The celebration included the release of revamped material,
how can you not
new
like
photo
their
shoots,
music?
and the release
Exactly.
of their
I was
fan-dedicated
instantly a
single,
fan.
Full Moon. There was also an announcement of a March comeback.
And this is all stuff we haven't checked
they
out
wrapped
yet.
up their tour activities, and March arrived. They released their official name for the fan base, but no comeback. The month went on, no comeback. March ended, April began, and still no comeback. Eventually, Happy Face announced that the album had been delayed, and fans were starting to get antsy. Dreamcatcher did not have a good history regarding album delays, and the last thing anyone wanted was a re-debut. April closed out with no sign of Dreamcatcher. Moving into May, Happy Face was utterly vacant. None of the members were making announcements, and the radio silence was starting to scare people. What the hell was going on? Finally, something gave way. An official announcement told the fans that Dreamcatcher were named ambassadors for Microsoft's blockchain security technology. And everyone said,
Where's the album? We want the album.
"Hey, what? Come on, this isn't a comeback. Where's the comeback? I thought we were getting it."
And then boom.
And then Dreamcatcher dropped You and I. On May 10th, Dreamcatcher released their second album, Escape the Era. 6 songs, a budget update, and a hit on the charts. The comeback peaked at number 3 on the Gaon chart and debuted at number 7 on Billboard World Albums. The comeback centered around their iconic sound while also playing well to industry interests. The styling, choreography, and album maintained their unique traits while also imbuing them with elements of girl crush and EDM, 2 of the hottest dishes on the table at the moment. The comeback sparked heat in the industry, and the fanbase expanded into the mainstream. This was a good sign, because despite the touring projects Dreamcatcher had done the past year, they had yet to solidify a foothold across the ocean. UNI didn't draw blood in just the Korean market. Suddenly, the international fanbase was stoked from the embers, and Dreamcatcher rose from the ranks of cult favorite to commercial success. It was looking more and more like UNI was going to be the song that solidified Dreamcatcher for good. They had a really good week. And when I say a week, I do mean a week. For a full 7 days, it was Dreamcatcher's world. They received their first ever nomination for a win with UNI, and then...
Didn't that happen?
Yeah.
Who are those guys?
To be fair, it didn't matter who you were shunted out the door when Love Yourself Tear dropped.
Yeah.
Popularity disparity. Now we're gonna hit some confusion in the storyline. Sensing the growth of their popularity, the group went into something of a frenzy. Riding the high of UNI, they released a third mini-album in September as part of their What comeback. Officially broke the 30,000 sales mark for a mini-album. The album charted at number 2, which remains their highest position of all time as of the making of this video. They had a Japanese debut, and while they were met with some initial success, the activities in Japan remained largely unrealized. 2019. Regardless, they had another comeback on February 13th of 2019 with The End of Nightmare, and its single, Piri.
Isn't that your favorite song?
This is my favorite song. This is like that heaviness, that heavy rock part. Bro, like,
I believe this is when
I
Happy
got
Face
goosebumps when
rebranded
this
as
shit came
Dreamcatcher
out.
Company, but some sources
I
also
see 'em.
say that it was a sub-label known as Dreamcatcher Company. Bless their hearts, I have no idea what they put in the water at Happy Face. And then off they went on yet another tour. Here's where things start to get Shakespearean, and I mean that in the bucket loads of pathetic fallacy way. And no, pathetic fallacy has nothing to do with the word pathetic meaning desperate or depressing. Rather, everywhere Dreamcatcher went, things started to go wrong.
Oh, no.
Their concert in Jakarta was completely shut down for reasons that were never explained. There were scheduling conflicts and issues with tickets, and one of the theaters caught fire and burned down. Everything was going pear-shaped. After the tour, more Japanese promotions were released, but they went nowhere. In hopes of reigniting fan morale, the group opened applications for their official fan club that summer, but even then, little news came out of it and the whole affair slipped under the waves. While Dreamcatcher seemed to be anywhere and everywhere and their comebacks were reaching decent upfront numbers, there was something off about their success. No matter how frequent the comebacks or how long the tours, Dreamcatcher couldn't seem to create a sense of longevity. The spaghetti wasn't sticking to the wall, and after a few weeks of initial success, Dreamcatcher's prominence would fade and take a backseat to everyone else in the industry. They seemed to be relying almost entirely on reappearance power, but in the grand scheme of things, it seemed that not many people outside the immediate fandom would notice that they went silent. Dreamcatcher's streak of good luck had short-circuited, and the members were rightfully exhausted. It was time to take a break, get some air, and come back when everyone was good and ready. In the meantime, Happy Face did what they do best, something unconventional. Happy Face started having board meetings with Vespa, an indie game developing company based in South Korea.
Hello. Yes, handshake. A handshake for you.
I like your tie.
I'm not wearing a tie. Have a handshake.
I heard the food would be provided.
I lied.
Your hands are very warm.
What if we kill one of the members and have her
What
come
the
back from
fuck?
dead?
So here's my idea. Give Chi-Yu a big fucking sword.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant.
I was thinking the same thing.
Fantastic.
That's
I actually
what
like that
I
idea.
wanted.
Match made in heaven. On September 18th, we finally saw what all those board meetings have been about.
Oh shit, shit! She actually had a fucking sword. Oh, they made it in the music
was unlike
video.
anything
Yeah,
Dreamcatcher had done before. The comeback was a collaboration with Vespa's mobile game King's Raid, which contributed to the expensive and dramatic visuals in the music video. That usual Dreamcatcher core was now combined with an emotional ballad, and it gave them their first charting song in the K-pop Hot
I
100.
love the ballads
The
they
album rate
do.
of
More of their
3
newer
to
stuff
number
is
3
more
and became
ballad
their
like.
highest-selling
I
album
feel.
of all
They have
time.
like, such fantastic
There was still
voices,
one
but I
milestone
still
that
love that
Dreamcatcher and their
American
fandom
rock.
had yet to crack: a first win on a music show. They'd come close in the past year, but hadn't quite managed to snag one. With the emerging success of Deja Vu, they might have their shot. Deja Vu was nominated for a win by SBS's music show, The Show, and many fans crossed their fingers in hopes that Dreamcatcher would take home their first win. That night,
먼저 사전에 집계된 음원 점수입니다.
동영상과 전문가 팬 사전투표 점수입니다.
여기에 생방송 중 집계된 실시간 앱투표 점수를 합친 결과 더쇼 초이스의 주인공은
11 points? Oh my
the winner
god.
of the night was Everglow, taking home their first ever win.
Oh, we got controversy.
I'm gonna label
Is it
this
stolen?
entire section alleged.
Alleged.
There are details that can't be confirmed about certain parts of this issue, and there's so many different parts to what happened, and a lot of it is loosely translated from Korean into English. I encourage you to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Anyway, on to what happened as best as I could research. Just a little while after the show announced its winner, fans and non-fans of Dreamcatcher began speaking out against the final scores, claiming miscalculation and even fraudulent behavior. So, there's a lot of controversy
11
surrounding these
points,
numbers
bro.
here.
Jeez.
After the controversy gained some traction, a few fans started to claim that these numbers were already confirmed accurate and that the controversy was based on lies. As of now, there is absolutely no confirmation on any website in any language from any source that these numbers are accurate. Yes, if you add these numbers straight down, you do get 7,861 and 7,850. However, the addition of these numbers isn't what the outrage was about. It's that these numbers allegedly should have never existed like this to begin with, and that the calculation that was done to create them was fudged. So what went wrong? I'm basically going to be summarizing several articles that broke down the calculation process, the faulty results, and why people were saying it could have been intentional skewing. All of this information is readily accessible. I encourage you to look at them. One of the primary articles I'm looking at is this one by XDoubleStar, who, while not a website I'm deeply familiar with, provided a decent amount of verifiable information. I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot from them. Credit to the breakdown goes to XDoubleStar. Basically, Row 2 is where fans claim things went wrong. According to XDoubleStar, we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that wrongdoing took place. Basically, 3 major things happened here. The first is that several points were shaved off of Dreamcatcher's YouTube score. Here is the viewer board of the show. Based on the show's own data, the score Dreamcatcher should have received was 1,472 points, higher than what they were actually given, which means the show had data that gave one result, and yet somehow another number showed up. But the second thing happened in the category Expert Preferences. What is Expert Preferences? It's basically a category where the broadcast can award points to groups based on what they claim are preferences of experts. But this category has long been disputed by practically every fandom in the industry.
I've just not heard of it and it's bullshit.
And is largely considered a place where shows just skew points to favor certain groups. In this episode of the show, CLC and Everglow both received full scores of 1,500 points for Expert Preference, and Dreamcatcher received a 0, which came as a shock to some people. But even with
That's some hoe shit!
Dreamcatcher still would have won. In order for Dreamcatcher to receive the lower final score that they did, the experts had to have given them less than the minimum amount of 0 and then masked it by announcing 0. Here's how that works, and again, these are all just claims as far as I know. Let's say that all the other data the show published in this section, except for Expert Preferences, was completely accurate. Now, let's remember that the minimum score for Expert Preference is apparently 0. When you calculate the full score giving Dreamcatcher an absolute 0 in Expert Preferences, their final score for this section is 1,972
That's more than the
points. But the final score that the show released for Dreamcatcher was 1,850, 122 points below the possible score. How did the show give them a score over 100 points below the minimum? Fans are saying that they gave Dreamcatcher negative points in this category. Allegedly, Dreamcatcher was given negative points in a category where you can't get negative points.
Not ethically.
Which would mean that their score was deliberately subtracted. Dreamcatcher would have been given a false score on behalf of the show, and if these weren't simple computer errors, this would be cheating. Several fans and non-fans alike recalculated the scores using the minimum possible of 1,472 points, and based on the results, even if Dreamcatcher had scored an actual 0 in Expert Preference, which again is absurd to begin with, they still would have beaten Everglow for first place. This led many fans to conclude that the show fudged Dreamcatcher's score and even subtracted points from it so that they could edge them in just under Everglow. If this is what happened, subtracting points from a group's score is tampering with a group's ability to win, and that directly impacts a group's success in the industry. So it's not really a surprise that some fans were disappointed and untrustworthy after the strange results were posted. Now, it's time to remember that this is not, under any circumstances, Everglow's fault. Everglow as a group had absolutely nothing to do with the way the show's scores were calculated, and no one can deny that they are a monster rookie group with tons of support. In the end, this is just as much a blow to Everglow as it is to Dreamcatcher. Everglow worked extremely hard to get where they are, and the last thing they'd want
It's
is
like they wanted to promote the new group,
especially
though.
regarding all the heated tensions around rigging right now. And of course, this is not the first time a music show has given a win to the wrong group. In May of 2016, KBS's Music Bank gave first place to AOA for Good Luck, when the actual win belonged to Twice for Cheer Up. In May of 2019, Mnet's and Countdown gave first place to New East for Bet Bet, when the win really belonged to Oh My Girl for The Fifth Season. Something about the month of May apparently throws everyone's math skills out the window. The difference, of course, is that these shows both made official and public announcements about the mistakes and corrected the math, as well as the true holder of the win. As of the making of this video, SBS and the show have made no such announcement. In fact, the only acknowledgement the show gave to the controversy were public tweets that seemed to passive-aggressively mock the group and the fans for the loss of the first win. And that was that for 2019. 2020. So what's up with Dreamcatcher now? Based on sheer numbers alone, Dreamcatcher is a decently successful group. Their continued sales presence puts them just under Lovelyz, AOA, and Idol. Given their commercial sales and consistent comeback rate, I feel comfortable saying that they're not going anywhere anytime soon. It could be that this underrated narrative comes from a lack of blockbuster success internationally or top 3 status, and as such causes them to fall into the shadows in the eyes of many international fans. It could also be, and this is my personal hypothesis, that many of the struggles Dreamcatcher has gone through point out a distinct attempt by shadier parts of the industry to stifle the growth of an unconventional group. The industry thrives on convention, unfortunately, and deviations from the norm are often denied, sabotaged, or shut down entirely. And yet, despite all that, Dreamcatcher has survived to today. Dreamcatcher are something of an utter fascination. Ever since they first appeared as Minx, they have been doing some serious parkour to keep in the game, rolling, flipping, and flat out vaulting over disbandment like they're in the goddamn Olympics. It's pretty damn impressive, I think. So here's to you, Dreamcatcher. Right now, you might be K-pop's Leonardo DiCaprio, but you are by far some of the most unkillable girls in the game. Though I still have questions as to what you did to that one guy. Dreamcatcher have announced a Japanese comeback this upcoming March.
He did.
And let's hope that both means actual March and more success in Japan. Go get them, girls. That's all from me this time. Best of luck to Dreamcatcher, and I'll catch you guys later.
Nice.
It
So
super hurts my heart to know that two groups that I love, Dreamcatcher and Twice, got shafted. You know what I mean?
So I look as somebody who edits all our videos and has to deal with the copyright claims, and if there's music in it, it's gonna get copyright claim. But when it gets struck down. You're trying to stroke me down. When it gets strucken down by SBS is a main bitch. That's why I only fuck with MLB the show, not the show or SBS, because they stay blocking us. That's some hoe shit. And so I wanted to read here though. So I did see that Mira left a note, because this video is 3 years old.
Yeah.
Stops in 2020. Mira did do an update. In April of 2022, Dreamcatcher received their first music show win.
Yeah.
Music show win at the show champion for the single Mason, which we checked out, which was dope. This video is outdated, as I disclaimed, blah, blah, blah. But it's a super awesome video. If you have never checked out Mira before, you should go subscribe to them, because they put in a lot of effort in these videos. So, but I learned a lot about Dreamcatcher tonight, and I learned the main thing is there's a lot of stuff that we need to check out that we haven't. Because we've only checked out like from Piri on, really.
Well, in doing
at least me. I don't know about you. Maybe you have. I forgot I'm Batman.
When I've done my independent research, I have gone through quite a lot of their songs. There were a couple that I haven't checked out, because obviously I listen to everything on YouTube that's on a playlist. Their sound is something that's always attracted me to them. Their beautiful vocals with the hard rock backing is something that I've really always appreciated about them, because it is different. And one of the things that I can say about Dreamcatcher is something that we like over here is persistence, right? Absolutely, I understand.
That's what the P stands for in Ant Theory.
Yeah. Exactly. I almost forgot that. I wasn't thinking about us.
Peter's not here, so
I wasn't thinking about us. But like for real, like their persistence and like not like giving up, and you know they may have lucked into escaping certain situations,
Right?
Right. But like you know, if you believe in a higher power, maybe they're being looked after. You know, like which is you know,
and look, the talent's there.
Obviously,
we know, and we're not saying like all people are like this, but we know like certain you know groups are gonna get favoritism, and especially back then it seemed like it was more the Wild West, and it's not as bad now.
Sure,
but it seemed like back then especially it was kind of the Wild West, and it made sense. The new group came around like, oh, if they're gonna try to promote. Then they're maybe going to try to promote the new hot group instead of somebody who's been around the game for a while. But that's fucked up. It should go to who wins.
Yeah,
and that doesn't only happen in Korea. It happens here in America.
Yeah,
it happens all over the world in all kinds of music because there's certain companies that want to promote certain people, and then they see somebody like Dreamcatcher who's different. And just because you're different doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that. It's just you bring something else different to the table. You're not cookie cutter like some of the rest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like
and
that.
They don't like that. Big companies don't like that.
It's like that
why
saying.
GB tripping.
It's like that saying, like the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, right? I feel like they were like getting hammered down quite a bit, but like again, they kept on. I didn't realize like all the ups and downs that they had.
Yeah.
Because I am newer to their fan base.
That's a while. I didn't know they were Minx.
I didn't know that they were Minx. Definitely very, very much of the times, like that 2014, 2015 era.
Right.
A lot more bubblegum, a lot more like way like upbeat, you know, like especially like that vibe.
But a smart decision to change that sound to stand out differently than everything else.
Yeah, because they were like fading into the background with that style, but to actually like rebrand as Dreamcatcher, come in with like those like harder rock elements, something that's changed my life.
That's one of the reasons I love Dreamcatcher, is because they are different. They sway from that status quo of the bubblegum pop, poppy sound. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love that.
I love bubblegum.
But hey,
wrong.
You know what I love even more? Shit that's different.
Yeah.
And in a good way. And you bring in our roots of metal and hard rock, like
sure, shit,
duh.
Yeah, like
so
definitely had my heart right there.
I want to say that I love Dreamcatcher. We're gonna continue to catch out Dreamcatcher. Check out Dreamcatcher in the future. Wow, there's just so many words going through my mind. Oh, sorry, I'm Batman. Yeah, I want to give a special shout out though again to Madison, who sent us over this video.
Thank you so much.
Part of our No Breaks tier. Same with Vicos. We would not have gotten down this wild rabbit hole of Dreamcatcher if it wasn't for Vicos. If you want to join us over there on Patreon, we have exclusive content and you can support the channel. Join us over on Twitch. Our Discord, all the socials at the AM Theory.
All the good places.
And I like I said, we're gonna continue with Dreamcatcher, but this was a very this is very enjoyable as like an eye opener to like
absolutely
how they were fucked over a lot, unfortunately. But they've come back strong because this was 3 years ago. We know how strong they've come on recently.
Oh yeah,
like all their newer stuff, So shout out to all of them.
There's new stuff, got like that funky bass in it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, hey, we love you. I love you the most. Stay up. Insomniacs.
Stay up. What does that mean?
Insomniacs.
Oh, I'm Batman. I'm an insomniac for real. I feel you.
I love you.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Good shit, right, Maroki?
Mm-hmm.